So why did women get the vote? Watch the following clip, then pause the tape and make notes on why women got the vote.
While thousands of men lost their lives in France, the women were called on at home to volunteer for service too. They did heavy, dirty and physically dangerous jobs, which would have been unthinkable before the war. Many had their first taste of their own pay packet and found they liked it. Mrs. Pankhurst abandoned her campaign for women's rights and threw herself into the recruiting effort. Her suffragette movement folded in an orgy of patriotism. Mrs. Fawcett's suffragists, whilst supporting the war, even sending nursing units to the front line, continued to press for the vote. In January 1918, their tireless efforts over 50 years were finally rewarded. Only a month after Armistice Day, all men, but only women over 30, voted in their first election. To the dismay of feminists, of the 17 women candidates, only one was successful, Constance Markowitz. But as a good Sinn Féiner, she refused to take her seat in the British Parliament. Elected in a by-election the following year, Nancy Astor became the first woman to take her seat in the House of Commons.
How did you do? You might have noted some of the following points. The suffragists and the suffragettes both called off their actions when war broke out and urged their members to support the war effort. You should also know that in 1915, suffragettes organised the White Feather Campaign to try to force men to volunteer for the army. In July, Christabel Pankhurst led the Right to Work March in London. More than 2 million women worked in war factories. Some made munitions for the army. This was dangerous work, and many women were killed in the explosions. Other women joined the armed forces or worked on the land. This convinced many people that they deserved the right to vote. You should also remember that during the war, many men lost the right to vote because they were sent to France to fight. You could only vote if you'd lived in Britain for at least 6 months. So in 1918, all men were given the vote at the age of 21 for the first time. This was a good opportunity to give women the vote as well. Some politicians were worried that the suffragettes might start their campaigns again. So women were given the vote at the age of 30 if they were householders or married to householders. So women were still not equal to men. Here's a typical question you might get on this topic. Why were women given the vote in 1918? The question's asking you to explain why. So to get good marks, you must sort the reasons into the correct order and explain how one led to another. It's also asking why women were given the vote, not to describe all the methods used by the suffragettes. So you wouldn't get many marks for just describing what happened. First, note down your main points, then spend about 15 minutes writing an answer to the question. Stop, rewind the tape, have another look at this whole section, and then have a go. So your plan for the answer should look something like this. The campaigns by the suffragettes and the suffragists, the work of women during the First World War, the loss of residential qualification for men, fears of a revival of suffragette activity. That's the end of the whole section on votes for women.